So you don't like it?
I have never had a taste for it, even from, like, the beginning.
It just tastes like Pepsi to me.
Yeah, it didn't taste like Pepsi back then to me.
Whatever. So we're doing our worst of list. Figured just like how we normally do it, just 10, 10, 9, 9, 8, 8. Working your way down to the exciting conclusion.
I figured I'd jump around, start with 10, and just see where the night takes us.
Let's start with my number 8.
Ooh, daring.
Yeah. My number 10 was Passengers. I mentioned before that every year I have to go through and kind of rewatch a lot of the reviews because some of the stuff I watched in January, I had absolutely no idea whether I liked it or not, or if I haven't watched the damn movie, or who I watched it with. But we had some pretty terrible ones just in the last month or so, and so I didn't really have to go back and rewatch Passengers review.
So what was the problem with that one?
Well, it wasn't really... The reason it's so low down on the list is it wasn't really a bad movie. It was just kind of hateful and deceitful. Because it's basically... I saw that one with Brad. I don't know how much you've heard about it, but it's that Chris Pratt, Jennifer Lawrence one where they're like stuck in space and the ship goes crazy.
He used the analogy of like, it's like, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's something very similar to the movie Overboard.
Kind of. Well, because basically they're all on the ship in stasis being carted to a colony planet over the course of 90 years, and Chris Pratt, like, it goes through an asteroid field and bonks into a bunch of systems with asteroids, and one of those systems is Chris Pratt's tube. So he wakes up early, like 89 years early, and spends a year just kind of dicking around the ship, getting progressively crazier, and falling in love with this woman in one of the other pods, Jennifer Lawrence. And so he's like, I want to wake her up, but I shouldn't because that's an awful, heinous thing to do. But I want to because I'm lonely. Robo Michael Sheen, what do you think? And Michael Sheen's like, ah. So he wakes her up, and they fall in love. And then she finds out that he woke her up, and she's mad for a bit, but then they end up together.
Oh, I'm glad that everything worked out okay at the end.
Well, because apparently it's a script that's been bouncing around for a while, and it was originally written as a horror movie, and it makes sense as a horror movie, because it's, it's this guy that you basically, like, you wake up in this sort of lifeboat situation with, but then, the twist would be that it turns out he's the one who put you there, and then, you're stuck on the ship with him for the rest of your natural life. But no, it's played like a romance, and that's what put it on the bottom 10. Because if it had just been like an innocuous space romance with Michael Sheen in it, I would have been fine with it. But the fact that they tried to be like, oh, isn't that romantic, is what landed it on this list for me.
For me, my number 10 was Ride Along 2. A movie that I
forgot we watched.
Completely forgot I had seen and couldn't remember thing fucking one about. That in and of itself, I feel like gave it a little bit of a distinction to end up on the list, but definitely at the bottom, because like it was apparently bad enough that I had completely forgotten A, watching it, and B, its existence.
But not so bad that you remembered A, watching it, and B, completely its existence.
Exactly. It's so bad that I couldn't remember it or care.
Did you rewatch the review for that one?
I had to, because I couldn't remember... Like, I legitimately could not remember one single fucking thing about that movie. Mm-hmm. And... yeah, no, it's just a terrible movie. It's a terrible sequel that was wildly unnecessary, and it broke zero new ground because it's just a complete remake of the first one, practically. I'm
going to go ahead and say that my number 9 is Ride Along 2, so we can just go ahead and both discuss it. Because, I rewatched the review, and my main takeaway was we spent most of the time talking about Psylocke's pea-soaked onesie. Because the only thing worth discussing was how hateful a relationship the two of them had, and it sounds like,
these are two people that cannot possibly exist together. and Yeah,
like a wouldn't it be funny if
90% of the review was tangents because you just did not want to talk about that movie. Although, yeah, it did have one of the things that just bugs the shit out of me in modern movies where it had all kinds of licensed stuff, like name-dropping shit like Call of Duty and, Gears of War and shit like that.
Then they have a video game sequence.
But then, yeah, like in the first one and in the second one, like, just this crappy, terrible, fake video game that he's playing on a fucking, like, current generation console, but looks like it's a fucking, like, PlayStation 1 game.
Well, I seem to recall in the movie, it wasn't so much that he was playing a video game, as didn't he get into, like, a car chase? And we switched to, like, his point of view, and apparently he was viewing it as if he was himself a video game character. Yep. But instead of, like, using that as an opportunity to just inject some video game aspects into a realistic, one would almost say photorealistic shot of the world, they instead CGI'd terrible graphics for a car chase between him and whoever the hell the bad guy was.
It didn't matter.
Do you remember the plot of this one? Apparently Benjamin Bratt was in it.
Yeah, he was like a
drug runner,
Miami, like, drug lord or something like that.
Yeah, I'm envisioning him as just like the bad guy from Crocodile Dundee 2. Just white linen suits and quiet malice.
Pretty much. Yeah, it was like he was... They were trying to find Kin Jeong because he had, like...
He was a hacker?
Yeah, he had, like, information that would condemn, like, very damning information about Benjamin Bratt and his dealings. And it's just fucking awful. Mm. Plus Olivia Munn, who I just don't like in movies.
And I feel like if we were to rewatch this movie and come back from it fresh, it would probably be higher up on the list. But as it is, yeah, I rewatched the entire review that we did. It was an hour long, that review, and I still know jack shit about it. It was just a nothing little movie. What was your number 9?
Number 9. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Oh. Shots fucking fired,
Making
DC.
An early appearance.
No, it's just... That movie was a fucking mess. I mean, it's people wearing black costumes fighting in the dark in 3D. Mm-hmm. It's like all of the action scenes are just half impossible to tell what the fuck's happening. Most of the story is so disjointed and just jumbled together that it feels like a 5-hour movie was filmed and they somehow chopped it down to only a 3-hour movie. Mm-hmm. It does no real, like, service to either of the main characters. I mean, Affleck does a decent Batman, but it's not a Batman that makes any fucking sense. It's a fucking mess from beginning to end. Fucking Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor is like someone forgot to tell him he wasn't playing the Joker. The fight with Doomsday, it looked terrible, and he just looked like the Abomination from the second failed Hulk movie.
It really is too bad, because I like Henry Cavill.
He's fine in some other stuff, but in this one he's so fucking lifeless. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the biggest, like... Well, the two biggest, like, slights that the movie does... Wonder Woman is, like, the third main character. She's on all of the promotional materials for it. Like, on some of the marquee stand-ups I saw for it, she was standing in front of both of them, and yet her name is not on the featured, like, title of the movie. Mm-hmm. Despite the fact that she plays...
Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, parentheses, also there's some Wonder Woman, close parentheses.
Featuring Wonder Woman.
Introducing Wonder Woman.
She's a featured artist. But yeah, like, she's in just as much of the movie as the other two, and fuck, she's the one that like, when it actually comes down to, like, the big fight at the end, she does more of the heavy lifting than either of them do.
One of my... Okay. You may find that this movie makes an appearance later on my list, but I will say, briefly, that during the final fight scene, when Superman's like, give me the spear with the kryptonite in it, and Batman's like, but no, because you're Superman, and it's gonna kill you. He's like, I have to do this. And Wonder Woman was just like, standing there like, doom, 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 doom.
It's like, I can also fly just as fast as you. And am equally as strong.
100% not allergic to kryptonite.
Oh, and there's that. But whatever.
Whatever. She was off the clock. She was on a break.
Fucking apparently.
Goddamn unions.
No, I just think that's a huge disservice to her, and plus the fact that there was the entire sequence of Batman sitting around essentially watching teaser trailers for the other Justice League movies. Like, they just really cram those in there.
Uh-huh.
It's like, this is all so fucking unnecessary. So that's my thoughts on that one.
Did you rewatch that review?
No.
Well, because that was the one that you and Brad went to, and then me and Dave went to. And that's how you can tell it's a particularly bad movie, is if there's 2 reviews of it.
We had to get verification.
Was it bad? Yes, turns out it was terrible. Okay, so my number 8 was Me Before You.
The fuck movie was that?
Wheelchair Suicide.
Nope, still not ringing a bell.
No? Oh, well then strap in, my friend. So Amelia Clarke and Finnick from the Hunger Games movie are in a romantic Nicholas Sparks-esque movie where she's like she runs a cutesy little girl bakery and she gets laid off, and so she's looking for a job, and she ends up as a caretaker for this he's not paraplegic, but he's definitely he's wheelchair bound, and he's got diseases that make him susceptible to pneumonias and so forth. And so his dad, Charles Dance, hires her to be his caretaker, but also to cheer him up and get him not to kill himself. Teach him to learn and laugh and love again. So the fact that the way I remember this movie by calling it Wheelchair Suicide should clue you into the fact that by the end of the movie he's like, I've fallen in love with you, this works, got a new lease on life, still gonna fucking kill myself. I'd like you to come watch.
What the fuck?
And she's like, but I don't want it. He's like, fine, I guess you don't love me. So she goes back home, and all of her friends and family are like, you should probably go watch him kill himself. It's the humane thing to do. And she's like, all right, I've learned my lesson.
That's what any normal person would do.
So they go to Sweden to the suicide complex, and he kills himself. The end.
What the fuck?
Which is why this movie's on my bottom 10. I've seen a lot of really peculiar movies this year. This was one I saw with Brad after, like, I guess Matthew saw it, and he was like, why haven't you watched this movie yet? And Brad's
Jesus
like, I don't know.
Christ.
Doop, 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 Sarah, what are you doing tonight? It's not higher up on the list because it's not a bad little movie. Like, it's got some really, really funny parts, and Amelia Clarke is acting her little eyebrows off. But the fact that the romantic lead kills himself by the end, and not just kills himself, because, like, when I rewatched this review, there were some comments, and they're like, what, people with differently abled people aren't allowed to decide to kill themselves? That's not the problem with this movie. The problem with this movie is that it's couched in such a way that they're suggesting that people with disabilities ought to kill themselves, and that's what made it so despicable.
That's so fucked up that that's a movie.
Which has got really cute little outfits in it.
Oh, well that...
If you have an extra hour and a half, watch this movie, because it's got some really funny parts. It's got Matthew Lewis in it from Harry Potter.
Which one's he?
Neville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he plays the boyfriend that her character has, just so she has just like some iota of conflict, other than the fact that her wheelchair boyfriend wants to kill himself.
Huh.
Me Before You.
Okay, my number 8 was actually, I think, the first movie I saw last year.
Uh-huh.
So, pretty much guaranteed it was going to be on the list. The Forest.
Oh, is that wandering off? Well, we're doing like a suicide theme.
Yeah, it was Suicide Forest. So, yeah, it was... I mean, it had the cards stacked against it to start with because it was a January horror film.
Mm-hmm. No, real quick, was that the Matthew McConaughey killing himself in the Japanese forest? Or the one with, like, the girl who had a twin going off and killing herself in the forest?
That was the twinsies one.
Uh-huh.
I think what you're thinking of like Sea of Trees or something like that.
Suicide Forest.
But yeah, no, this was the terrible horror movie one where it's a horror movie set in Japan featuring pretty much only white people. You know, like you find a lot
like
of
you do
in Japan. But yeah, it's like everything about that movie was just rushed or phoned in or just like the first like few minutes of the movie were wildly distracting because it was just a jumble of shots cut together.
Uh-huh.
Like it felt like there should have been probably like a 15-minute, like 10 or 15-minute long like opening scene that kind of set everything up to get her going to Japan. And then the studio said, "This is taking too long. Cut this down to 2 minutes." So it's just a bunch of random, like, chopped together scenes, and they're all out of any sort of sequential order. So it's like it shows, like, her, like, telling her boyfriend or husband or whoever, it's like, my sister's gone missing, I have to go find her. And then it cuts to, like, a plane landing at, like, the airport in Tokyo. And then it cuts back to them having dinner with her getting, like, the phone call to tell her that her sister's gone missing. And then it cuts to her, like, taking a cab somewhere. And then it cuts back to them, like, in bed the night before she leaves to go to the airport.
Stop being cute, movie.
And then it cuts to her getting dropped off at the airport.
So did your sister actually kill herself?
No.
Turned out she doesn't have a twin.
Well, she has
Tyler Durdening herself.
She has an identical twin sister,
Mm-hmm.
and she plays both of them through the clever use of one's a blonde and one's a brunette.
Uh-huh.
But the actress has like a very like distinct like beauty mark and like a little scar on her face,
Mm-hmm.
and so does her twin.
Yeah, so it's not just number 8 is suicide themed, it's Game of Thrones actors suicide themed, because that one was Marjorie Tyrell, wasn't it?
I cannot remember
I thought it was.
who the main person in that one was.
I'm going to assume that it was, and I'm right.
But yeah, it's just once she goes there, like it's just everything is done to like make you think that she's crazy. It's one of those kind of movies.
Mm-hmm.
And she keeps falling for like weird stuff that's like obviously like the forest trying to like fuck with her, 'cause, like it's haunted or whatever. But it's stuff that doesn't make any sense. Like at one point, like she accidentally like falls in a hole and like ends up in like some like big ass cave, and there's just like a schoolgirl standing down in this cave. She's like, "What are you doing here?" She's like, "I see your sister. Follow me." And she's like, "Okay." It's like there seems to be nothing wrong with this situation.
This is probably on the up and up.
Makes sense. She's down here and knows who I'm looking for, and saw her over there in the corner.
So her sister, what was the twist ending?
It ends up that like her sister, like she's convinced the whole time that her sister's dead, and there's like these ghosts following her and everything.
Uh-huh.
And she goes progressively crazier and crazier to the point like she thinks that she's like a ghost has a hold of her, and she starts like trying to like or she thinks that like some like creature has a hold of her and she can't get away, so she's trying to like cut it up, like, you know, like she's got like a piece of glass or some shit, and like she's like slicing at it to get it to let go. Mm-hmm. But what she's really doing is like slicing the shit out of her own arm.
Uh-huh.
And she ends up actually like finding like her sister is out there. She just was lost in the woods for a week.
Uh-huh.
and they're trying to make it out of the woods. The sister ends up making it out, but then the one who we've been following the whole movie, who went over there to catch her, like to find her, ends up like bleeding out trying to get out of the woods and dies and gets like dragged through hell, like down to hell, like at the end of the movie, Drag Me to Hell. Like hands and shit like coming and like grabbing her, like pulling her away.
Get back here.
It's like, oh no, now she died in the forest and she's trapped there forever as one of them. Oh no, because she committed suicide. Because it tricked her.
And that doesn't count though. That doesn't count as suicide.
Oh, and it's one of those too, like it does a thing that pisses me off a lot with movies where we're kind of at that weird point where if you have a movie that has like a 20 or 30 something lead, their childhood was the 80s and 90s.
Uh-huh.
But, and this girl like could not have been any older than I am as the lead in this. Like she was probably like 25 maybe. Mm-hmm. But anytime it would do a flashback to her childhood,
it was the 60s.
Yeah, it was like the fucking 1950s, 1960s. Mm-hmm. It's like...
You're trying to say this movie was supposed to take place in the 70s, or...?
No, it was modern. Like, she was walking around, like, showing people, like, her cell phone, like, have you seen this girl? Mm-hmm. Which was dumb anyways. She's your identical twin.
That honestly didn't occur to me.
Yep, there's that. But
have you seen this girl?
Looks a lot like me.
Yeah, like about this ish, including the beauty mark and the scar.
But, yeah, it was just one of those things where I've noticed a lot of movies still doing that, where it goes to flash back to, like, their childhood, and since so many horror films for so many years, and so many any movie that had flashbacks, yeah, like the childhoods were always like the 60s and 70s because these are movies that were made in like the 80s and 90s when like the current directors were growing up. Mm-hmm. So that seems to be where they keep throwing it back to, because like when it would do flashbacks to like the two twins as little kids, they were like the fucking little girls in like The Shining.
My number 7 was Suicide Squad.
Got a run of suicides here.
So, there wasn't any actual literal suicide in this movie. But this was one I saw with Brad and Dave, and they both liked it, and I hated it.
I got around to watching this.
Did you like it? Am I the crazy one?
2 nights ago. And Letty and I fucking hated it.
Yeah! Help me then, because I rewatched the video and I was like, this is what I hate about it, this is what I hate about it, this is what they're like, that's true, we still liked it though. I did not like a single thing about it. So, like, the one-liners were crappy and clunky.
The first, like, 5 minutes had, like, 5 or 6 different music cue changes.
Mm-hmm. It was to give all of them theme songs that never got used again throughout the entirety of the movie.
Very on-the-nose one.
Mm-hmm. None of the characters are likable. I hated the Harley Quinn. I hated the acting. I hated the plot. Amanda Waller was pretty badass. But yeah, it was just not a good movie. And everything that it thought it had to say about the nature of good and evil was just trite and kindergarten-y.
Well, and just so many scenes felt weird, and I know that a big part of that is due to the fact that this was edited within an inch of its fucking life.
Yeah, apparently the movie that they originally shot was much more, gritty, and what they've been trying to do with the DC movies, and the feedback was not good. Plus, they're getting really negative press on Jared Leto as the Joker.
They made a lot of changes after Batman v Superman, too, because they're like, oh, well, we tried the dark and gritty thing again. That did not fly.
Yeah. So they
when you actually had the movie that should have been dark and gritty because it's about a group of killers going around killing things together. Uh-huh. Like, that's the one that you should have been okay to do a little bit darker, and instead they made it like a light, like comedy.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fight scenes in this, and they're all the exact same fight scene. It's just like people in abandoned streets shooting at each other while, people off screen quip at each other.
Well, it's just, the movie makes sure early on that you know who you're supposed to give a shit about. Because, Deadshot and Harley end up getting, very detailed backstories showing what's all going on with them.
Well, the Crocodile Man is just leisure suit ownership.
And yeah, then it shows like Killer Croc, and it's like, "We found this guy in a sewer." Rawr! Cut to the next one. Then there's this jagoff with boomerangs. The Flash beat him
Boomerang.
up. And then, like, everybody else just gets like a real quick, like 30-second intro, and then it's not even until they're about to like a half hour in when they're actually going out on the actual mission that like suddenly like, oh, and here's the last guy on the team, Slipknot. I don't even know that they ever mentioned his name on camera.
Is he the one that got murdered?
He was the one that showed up, had a line, then they landed the chopper, and then was like, that's all bullshit, man. You could probably get away. He's like, fuck it, ring, blows up. It's like, oh, glad they brought him in to die 5 minutes later.
Mm.
Or also the fact that, like, at the same time, they're like, oh, and here's the other member of the team, Katana. Like, she'll be here. Probably shouldn't dwell on that, though.
Mm-hmm. This is also the review where I got scolded in the comments because I thought that the vat that Harley and the Joker had fallen into was labeled acid. And I'm like, acid doesn't do that. And everyone's like, no, Sarah, it says Ace Chemicals. And I have to be a little upset about that because I feel like in a chemical plant, you would label it a little more accurately than just chemicals.
Well,
it's a chemical of some sort. Maybe it's apple cider vinegar.
That's probably what did it to me.
Yes.
Well, my thing was like, okay, so that's supposed to be, because in the kind of retconned way that they've done things in like the New 52 and like DCU,
Mm-hmm.
It's not just that like the Joker convinced Harley to be crazy, and she's like, oh, okay. Like he also like threw her like in the new continuity. He also throws her into like the same batch of chemicals that he fell in.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of like make like she's actually like dyed like white now as well, and like her hair is permanently like those colors. But so that's kind of what they were doing with that to show like, oh, that's how she got to that point. But my thing is like, so he jumped in it again.
Yes, because once you go,
once the chemicals hit you, you're immune to them
yes,
from now on.
it's like the chicken pox.
Is
it's
that
like Ace chicken pox?
Is that
what
how
it's actually said
hazardous-
on the side.
Also, what exactly is in that vat? Because you figure like unless they have like 1,000 days without an accident on the big board in the plant. Like, has no one else ever gotten this shit on them before?
I feel like, yeah, it's just a big open container of chemical.
Like, no one else has ever, like, oh, shit, God, I dropped a wrench. Bloop, splash. Oh, no. And then has, like, a white hand with, like, pink fingernails. It's like, oh, this is my crazy hand.
I'm just saying the hand is crazy.
Like, just no one else has ever accidentally touched this stuff.
Sprouts ponytails. Gets a little slutty skirt on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pleased to meet you, Mr. J.
And also, yeah, the weird way that they were, like, it's like, well, the only other time we've ever had Harley and stuff is when Tara Strong is voicing her either on the animated series or on, like, the Arkham, video games.
Uh-huh.
She always talks like that, so I guess we'll have Margot Robbie do some weird, like, Mae West thing.
I likened her to, in the review, like a Muppet version of Fran Drescher.
Because she kept slipping in and out of it, and it was driving Letty crazy. What
I feel like
is she doing?
Someone was probably directing her to do that, and then she'd stop if she thought that no one was noticing, until someone told her to do it again.
It's like, up. I mean, come on, guys. It's like she's coming across less like like a Mae West sort of thing, and more like she's just some like Jersey girl. Like it's like just going for it. My number 7 was the epic flop remake of the epic film Ben-Hur.
Ben-Hur.
Judah Ben-Hur.
Ben-Hur didn't make my list. It was on my maybe's list, but it got knocked out.
Yeah, it just that one. I mean,
it wasn't like Citizen Kane bad.
nothing is Citizen Kane bad.
At Torso Boy 323.
But yeah, I was just thoroughly uninterested in that movie for the entire 3-hour duration that it took up.
Uh-huh.
It's a remake of a classic film, and I don't know why anyone thought that was ever going to work out. like, again, like, I still have not seen all of the original Ben-Hur, and I still don't plan on it.
You don't even need to. You see the remake.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. It's just like the original, but with more leather, more leather bootcut pants.
Suddenly leather pants. Or that entire hour of the film when he comes back and starts dressing like he's fucking Jewish Batman.
He basically was Jewish Batman.
Joseph in the amazing monochrome dream coat.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just... It comes across like... there was an era in Hollywood where a movie like that could be made. And that is no longer. Because, like, just suddenly, like, turning, like... It's like, what do you say? You there, carpenter from Nazareth. It's like...
Yeah.
I don't know, guys. Maybe do unto each other. But who am I?
I'd recommend turning the other cheek, but that's just me.
I'm gonna plane this wood here. You know, carpenter of men and all.
I'm carpenting.
You just keep running into him as, like, some incidental character where, like... It's like... trying to really weave in, like, it's like, really? No one remembers in the Bible, like, all the times that it mentioned Ben-Hur? Like, it's like, stop putting him in here. This is not part of the Bible story.
Well, too, wasn't the, like, the little zealot that was staying in Ben-Hur's house turned out to be, like, the, one of the...
Oh, he ended up,
co-crucified?
Yeah, he was the thief who,
You know his name.
who turned away from Jesus. It was like, this is all fucking bullshit. Dismas.
Yes, because of
Uncharted.
Because of Uncharted.
He wasn't the penitent thief. He was the jerk thief.
And I don't know his name because he wasn't in Jesus Christ Superstar.
Wah, 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 wah.
Wah, 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 wah.
I never even think of Jesus Christ Superstar. I always just think of Jeepers Creepers.
It's basically Jesus Christ Superstar. It's making fun of the movie version where they all do actually wear those big onion hats. And there's a scene where...
Because they're Pharisees.
Yes. And when they go to see the King of the Jews, he's just like floating on an island with like little round John Lennon glasses.
See, in Jeepers Creepers Semi-Star, it just looks like they're on their way to Burning Man.
There's like a bus full of people.
There's a scaffold built out in the desert because, I don't know, we need something to dance on.
What should we do about our boy Jeepers Creepers? He's not all that good, but he's not all that bad.
I would have rather watched that for 3 hours on a loop.
Rather than that than Ben-Hur, you mean?
Yeah.
I tend to agree.
Where they're like, it's like, oh, it's an action movie. Where it's kind of like Gladiator and 300. But also the Passion of the Christ.
Yeah. And like a whole bunch of just like rowing, and then a whole bunch of just like training horses in the desert.
Did not like.
Did not need to be 3 hours long.
Oh boy, didn't.
I didn't realize I'd seen so many bad movies this year, but like Ben-Hur didn't make my list, and Allegiant didn't make my list, and that movie was fairly bad.
What if people thought that was your number 4?
Oh, my bad. My number 6 is actually Alice Through the Looking Glass, which you didn't see.
Sure did.
So you missed the... We were on the edge of our seats waiting for that footer wagon to happen.
Paid for the whole seat, only needed the edge.
Yes. But no footer wagon to be had.
Oh, no.
It was just...
You're disappointed.
I am so disappointed. It was just terrible time puns and thinly veiled like feminism metaphors. You know, whenever a movie is set in a specific time, it always has to include like, oh right, and life is pretty shitty for anyone who wasn't like a white man. So like she's in the real world.
Which relates to modern era as well.
And there's like a bunch of guffawing old men who like want her dad's ship. And at one point she gets like committed to an insane asylum, which is run by Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes, and he's like, female hysteria. They say there's no cure, but I know different. Syringe, squirt.
Then he gives her an orgasm.
I think I actually made that joke in the review. It's like, no, I know how to cure female hysteria.
Yeah, they figured that one out.
Good, well done, science.
It's a steam-powered jackhammer dick. And it goes in the mouth?
Okay, no, I'm going to put it on the tip of your nose. That's how you test a vibrator.
And then you make them kiss.
Yes. But Sacha Baron Cohen plays like the Duke of Time, and he was pretty good in it. But past that, it was just Johnny Depp making faces, and
my favorite style of
Helena
movie.
Bonham Carter like making faces, and Anne Hathaway making faces. It was just like the longest goddamn movie I've seen this year, and I saw Ben-Hur.
Number 6 is actually 2 movies.
What? You're not allowed to do that.
I am, because they're the same movie.
Do tell.
My number 6 was Shut-In and The Disappointments Room.
I Am Disappointments Room.
Yes. Because they were so goddamn the same movie. Both of them were, I mean, they have different flows to them, but basically both of them are a middle-aged white woman living in a big-ass house with her kid, and through the course of the film, the mother keeps going progressively crazier and crazier because she thinks the house is haunted, only to find out late on into it that it's not haunted at all. It's just a terrifying tale of the horrors of mental illness.
Okay.
Like, in both movies, they're like very damaged women who should be on like antidepressants, and they aren't. And so they start going very like slowly crazy.
So is this like an Armageddon Deep Impact sort of situation, or?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, you know, like one of those movies where it's like, like the year where you have like Armageddon Deep Impact or Leviathan and the Abyss. Like it's almost the same fucking plot. Mm-hmm. And both of them were like let's take an actress who maybe we haven't seen in a few years. Disappointments Room was Kate Beckinsale and.
Oh, I just saw her ass. In
Probably a lot of it.
Blood Wars.
Yeah, she's the mother in Disappointments Room, and Naomi Watts is the mother in the other one. In both movies, like they're in like some insane house, completely isolated from the nearby town type situation, and both of them keeps thinking that they're seeing like crazier and crazier and crazier things and losing their minds. And no, it just turns out that in both cases, these are women who should have been on some sort of medication and they just aren't taking. Mm-hmm. And they're losing their fucking minds. So in both cases, like, it's a ghost movie that ends up having no ghosts in it. But an odd thing is both movies also, with no sort of problems, steal scenes directly from The Shining. Both of them. Like, Disappointments Room has a lot of shots of, like, the little kid riding, like, a big wheel around the house, like, down, like, the big-ass hallways they have before, like, something spooky happens. In Shut-In, they actually do the scene where she tries to like, her son ends up being, like, the person who's haunting her the whole time, and he's just being a dick.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's a weird situation. But she ends up trying to trick him into thinking that she's escaped the house by opening the door, running out and around the corner, and then walking backwards through her footsteps to make him think that she ran off this way, and then the track ends. It's insane. Like, there's a lot more comparisons between the two. Like, if you watch it, you'll see them all over the fucking place. But yeah, like like I say, it's just odd that both of them have, like, oh, let's cast a middle-aged white blonde mother and her kid alone in an isolated house where they think they're being haunted, but it's just a harrowing tale of mental illness. And also, let's inject it with scenes stolen from The Shining. Like, there's even a scene where in Shut In, Oliver Platt realizes that something's wrong in the house, races from like city to city to get to where she's at, runs into the place, and immediately gets attacked and killed.
Mm-hmm.
The same as Dick O'Halloran in The Shining, where he's like, oh no, Danny's in trouble. Flies there, gets a snowcat, drives all the way out there in terrible weather, runs in, and as soon as he gets in the hotel, choppa with an axe.
That part bummed me out.
Like, exact same fucking scene.
Mm-hmm.
So, just kind of... they are so fucking the same movie. It's like they had the same... it's like they had the same outline, and they handed it to two different writers, and they just barely branched off from each other.
How close were they together release date-wise?
A month apart, maybe 2.
That's bad planning.
Yeah, it was just... It's like, as Brad and I were watching we watched the Disappointments Room first, and then as we were watching Shut In, like, this seems awfully fucking familiar.
Uh-huh. So they were bad, though.
Yeah, both of them are terrible, because they both, like, all of the scares are just, like, dream sequence scares and shit like that, where, like, none of it is ever really happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at least in Shut In, there was actually someone trying to kill her at a point. But in the other one, it was, the whole time, all of it was completely imaginary in her head. There was never any danger except for her, because she was seeing things. Because she was so far off of her fucking meds.
And it seems like the sort of thing that you could do well, if you did it well. I seem to recall my mom telling me about, like, a book that came out a little while ago. Because apparently, back in the day, like, they'd diagnose women as being overstimulated, and so they'd prescribe them to just, like, sit in a darkened room for a couple months.
Perfect.
So, and she read a book about a woman who's in that situation, and she started to lose her mind, and there was, like, a stripe along the walls that she was just getting darker and darker and darker every day, and she couldn't figure out why. It turned out it's because she herself was crawling on her hands and knees around the room, dragging her face on the wall, just for something to do. But she was going crazy, so she couldn't remember doing it. All she knew was there was this stripe that came out of nowhere. It's genuinely horrifying. Not just, footprints at the door. Turns out it's my son who's haunting me. I was about to say, like the Babadook, when you were talking about it earlier, and then I stopped myself because it's not really like the Babadook at all.
Well, at least in that one there actually was a Babadook.
Yeah, that's true. I still haven't made it all the way through that movie. I got too freaked out when she was, like, legit gonna murder her child. I was like, you know what, I got other things I can be doing right now.
No, it gets way better towards the end.
I don't wanna. Now the Babadook shows up.
And his ass is terrifying.
Yeah, well, there's pictures. There's a meme online where it's like, when you go to your friend's house for a Halloween party, it turns out that it's more of a wine and cheese party. And it's just, I think it's Katie Willard, just sitting in a corner dressed like the Babadook, and everyone else is like drinking wine. That picture scares the crap out of me. I'm not watching the goddamn movie. Number 5. Batman v Superman. So this movie was terrible. I didn't like how hateful both Batman and Superman were. I didn't like all the extra bullshit they put in there with, like, the time-traveling Flash and the sand people.
Sequel baiting a lot, and yeah, the weird, like, dream sequence. Where it's just Batman running around with a machine gun. Just smoking fools. Like he does.
Mostly I just didn't like Superman. Like, if he had been, like, a hateful monster from beginning to end, and characters had recognized him as such, maybe I would have taken some pleasure in this movie, but it was just, like, scene to scene, he would just be a complete asshole. Doing stuff like punching Batman off the road just so he could tell Batman to stop Batmaning all the time. And, like, the part where the building explodes and he's just kind of like, aw. Or when they're fighting just because Lex Luthor has his mom. Which didn't make any goddamn sense because he's the Superman.
Your mom's name is Martha too? Besties.
Yay! And my pinky swear to never be apart again. And yeah, the part with Wonder Woman where she's just standing there while Superman murders himself with the kryptonite spear. This movie didn't make a goddamn lick of sense. I remember at the time liking Lex Luthor, but that was just because I like Jesse Eisenberg. I like him so much, and people have explained to me afterwards, he's just doing a Heath Ledger as the Joker impression, and I'm like, fuck, oh no, that's true. I just go back and watch American Ultra again, a movie which he's genuinely good in.
Like, that, yeah, his version of Lex Luthor was basically Heath Ledger's Joker combined with Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor.
Australia.
Yes.
That's the only thing I heard from that entire movie. Australia.
That's the only thing you need to know.
Yep. But it's another movie on a list of movies that I barely remember anything about. But I went back to the tape. I seemed pretty annoyed. So this movie made my number 5.
I was vexed.
Plus, this was the review that Dave was so angry when we left that he didn't talk for like the first 20 minutes. So it was just leaving me rambling on about DC characters, which is like something that, unless it's on a CW show, I know jack shit about. And neither Batman nor Superman are on a DC show, so all I have to go off of is like movies that I've seen. And the old
Superman
cartoon.
is on...
Fucking okay,
Supergirl.
I'm not that far into Supergirl.
It's okay.
I've just been watching...
It's okay. He doesn't actually show up until season 2.
He does show up because he saves her from that guy in the junkyard.
Well, okay.
But it's just like his feet and then him on the phone. But no, I'm all about the Captain Cold. Because he's such a douchebag.
Fuck yeah, Wentworth Miller.
Have you watched The Legends of Tomorrow?
I'm like halfway through it.
It's good, right?
It's
The internet doesn't seem to think that one's very good, but I like it.
It's out
It's
of
got
all.
Rory.
It's out of all of the Rory as his own version of the Doctor.
Yeah.
No, out of all the CW ones, it's the most comic booky.
Uh-huh.
Like I kind of like I was a big fan of like the first 2 seasons of Arrow, especially. It was it was way more grounded. Now it's like all the different shows are like, let's just get crazy with it. It's like, bring it back in a little, guys.
Well, I wasn't paying as much attention for The Flash, but I like that one. Not least of which because it shows how terrible the names for villains in his rogues galleries are. It's all like Captain Speedy Pants and
But at least it gives it context with
Baron Pterodactyl Head.
them working in Cisco naming them all each time.
Uh-huh.
Just as a thing to do. It's they should all have code names.
I'm gonna call you Zoom. Don't call me Zoom. How about don't?
My number 5 was Jason Bourne.
Jason Bourne.
More like Jason Boring.
Jason Bourne.
Because it was. They made it out like it was going to be this huge thing. It's Matt Damon is returned to the franchise. You got Paul Greengrass directing it, and it's going to be this big continuation of everything. But for me, each of the Jason Bourne movies is less and less entertaining, and so bringing back Matt Damon to that, there's so much overhead going on with it that the whole plot is so bogged down. I get it, it's a spy movie, political intrigue and all that, but it's bending over fucking backwards to fit all that stuff in, and then occasionally remembers oh yeah, and then he beats a guy with a chair leg. It's...
Does it do it all fast and camera cutty?
Well, and that was the huge thing about this one is Brad and I both left the theater from that one with feeling fucking nauseous.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is all claustrophobically tight angles, but with a shaky handheld camera.
Mm-hmm.
So there are times where it feels like the fucking cameraman has Parkinson's or something like that. It's jerking around so much.
Mm-hmm.
You can't focus on what it's doing, or it'll be a tight close up on there was one scene where Alicia Vikander and Tommy Lee Jones and another guy are having this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And it is all told through tight right here close ups. almost like the entire screen is just face. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Between all three of them talking. Until eventually, at the end of the shot, they pull back to an establishing shot, and they're in a gigantic conference room. And it's so fucking weird. It's like, they made it seem like they were having this conversation in a fucking phone booth, as close as they were all, like, the angles were and everything. But no, like, they're on either side of, like, a 6-foot wide table. And, yeah, like, the entire conference room is probably the size of, like, Brad's living room and, like, the side room down there where he does his editing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all of that. Like, that's the length of this room. And then, like, why are we just filming, like, right here on top of them? But the whole movie is like that. And, like, in action scenes, it's tight close-ups like that as well. So you can't tell what the fuck is happening.
Mm-hmm.
But combined with, like, the shaking around camera stuff, it's fucking impossible. Like, it's just like oh, whoosh, 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 whoosh. And then, oh, the fight must be over because everyone's laying on the ground now and Jason Bourne's the only one standing there.
Ta-da! If you were to tell me that Paul Greengrass was the name of a Flash villain with, like, plant powers, I would believe you 100%. You gonna get, like, some radioactive sod poured on him or something?
Oh, there is a guy like that.
Is his name Paul Greengrass?
No, it's like, what is it, like, the Fluoridic Man or something like that?
Chairface Chippendale.
Yes. But no, it's I mean, it's a terrible continuation to a series that used to be pretty decent. And it just, like, you could feel like the whole time it just felt like it was really, really, like, stretching the premise thin at this point. Like, they need to just do a reboot because it's so top-heavy with everything, like conspiracy on top of conspiracy that it's almost fucking impossible to tell what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, combined with, like, the camera work, like, it was nauseating. Like, we both left, like, feeling like we had fucking motion sickness. I think Film Brain went to it in 3D and said that he, like, was, like, legitimately ill afterwards.
Uh-huh. I hate movies like that.
Because it's just, you can't fucking keep up with it.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, really quick, fast motions in 3D doesn't work out very well anyway. But yeah, there were entire sections of the film where you couldn't even tell what was happening because it was all, like, quiet stuff, like, while people were, like, back and forth, like, doing spy shit, and they were just texting things back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a moving...
Action-packed.
But yeah, it was like a moving camera, so it's like, oh, like, he'd get, like, a text on his phone, and, like, he'd hold it up, and it's like, okay. And then he'd turn and look and then, like, go off some other way. Like, I guess he told him to go up the stairs. I have no fucking idea.
What's the background on your phone? It's like a... It's just all blue and red 3D stuff?
Oh, yeah, it's images that have been anaglyphed.
Uh-huh.
That was the
Do
lion.
you have a pair of 3D glasses that you can wear and look at it?
Nope, I just leave it like that.
Be all ghouly.
No, that one was, like, the lion statues in front of, like, the what is the...
The Lion Museum.
No, up in Chicago.
It's just
the
like a
art
museum full of lions.
Yeah, the Lion Museum in Chicago. What's your number 4?
Number 4, Gods of Egypt.
Lion Museum.
Lion Museum. I think there are actually lions in this movie. There's fucking gigantic snakes and humongous Jamie Lannister. Have you seen the preview for this movie?
I've seen the preview and I listened to the How Did This Get Made episode for it, and it sounds amazing.
Because, like, when we watched this movie, me and Brad sat down and we were talking about it. I'm like, I like it, you know, it's kind of like a super earnest, everyone really believes in what they're doing, making what they can with a shoestring budget. And Brad's like, this movie cost $140 million to make. I'm like, fuck you! No!
They gave it all to Gerard Butler, and then he threw it into the fucking desert.
He was like, in order to shave my beard off, it'd have to be $141 million. They're like, oh, and they turn out their pockets, it's like moths flying.
It's like,
can't do it.
Tough
Hands
shit.
are tied.
Keeping the beard and the brogue.
So it's just, it's one of those movies where, you know, like The Librarian, or like the crappier ones of The Mummy, where, like, you believe they don't have much money, but they believe in what they're doing, and so it's just like, you want in your heart of hearts to support them, but if it cost $140 million to make, I'm not supporting shit. Get your act together.
Yeah, drop that one off the front, $40 million, like, okay, you know?
$4 million. You know what? $4 million. There are starving orphans in this world, and you couldn't even pay Gerard Butler to shave his beard off. It's just like, it's like a little thief boy and one-eyed Jamie Lannister. Like, the plot didn't make any sense, the effects were terrible.
I remember from the trailer, every now and again, he turns into Iron Man.
Your huge logical fallacies. Who, Jamie Lannister? No, well, sort of. He doesn't have any of his bird powers because one of his eyeballs is out.
Oh, well, that's how the bird powers work for me.
Yeah.
I got both my eyeballs in.
It's just a mess from beginning to end. But, that being said, it is worth watching.
Isn't it also a thing, like, isn't he, like, aren't the gods in this, like, frighteningly tall?
They're like 9 feet tall.
Compared to everybody else
and
all
not
the time.
very believably so.
Because
so, like, there's a scene
in
where
the trailer, like, that's the thing I picked up from, like, the How Did This Get Made episode, because in the trailer, it looks like everyone is the same size, but then they kept mentioning, like he's, like, 20 feet fucking tall, like, having a conversation with this guy.
You can't really tell in the trailer, which is probably why people actually still went and saw this movie, because the effect is jarring and unnatural. But there's a scene where, like, Jamie Lannister and the plucky little audience insertion thief kid are, like... They're at some point on their odyssey, and they're being chased by gigantic snake people, and Jamie Lannister, like, picks him up like a baby, and is just carrying him and just running across the tops of these buildings.
Well, that makes sense.
Yes.
I just remember, too, hearing, like, some stuff about, like, the actual fight, like, you know, like, mythical, legendary fight between, like Set and, whoever One-Eyed Jamie Lannister was supposed to be.
Osiris, I think?
Yeah. And it's less like, oh, they were fighting to do stuff, and, like, you know, their blood's made out of gold and shit like that, and, like, all this shit. And more like, he won the fight eventually over his uncle because he tricked him into drinking his own cum.
I don't remember that at all.
It wasn't in the movie.
Sense.
But...
There's, like, I'm parts of this movie are, like, springing to my mind that I'd forgotten about. There's, like, a guy whose brain is out of his body, and he's got, like, duplicates of himself wandering around a library. Is this a dream I had?
Shit, you're stroking out on us. Come back.
And there's, there's a good British actor who's playing, like, the moon, and he's just, like, stuck in a green screen room just paddling the moon across the sky.
I'm trapped in this green screen prison.
Yes. Okay, well, maybe I'll just rewatch the movie, but yeah.
Well, I plan on watching it at some point.
Well, let me know when I can come over and be like, oh, there's the brain guy. That's what I was talking about. What do you got?
So that was your number 4?
Yes.
My number 4 was Boo, a MADEA Halloween.
Okay, I'm glad you pronounced that right with the exclamation point.
Boo! That was, even for a fucking MADEA movie, that one was a rough sit. Like, it was, out of the ones that I've seen so far of Tyler Perry's movies, that's the one that felt the most like it was a taped version of a stage play without it actually being one of his movies that's just a taped version of a stage play.
Mm-hmm.
Like, entire, like, half-hour chunks of the film are just the characters riffing back and forth with each other while sitting in one room. Oh, and of the 5 people in the room, 3 of them are Tyler Perry playing characters.
So, never having seen a Tyler Perry Medea's blankety blank movie before, is that in keeping with the quality that these usually are?
It was somehow less capable than some of his others, and some of the others have huge errors in, like, camera work, where, like, suddenly in the middle of a frame, like, in the middle of, like, a sentence, the camera would just, like shift around, or, like, suddenly, like, zoom in and out from somebody, like, did they just fall asleep? And, like, well, that was the best take we got.
I was that worried that we as the audience were falling asleep, and so they wanted to kind of, like, jostle.
Like, in the last one that I saw, that, the MADEA Christmas...
Is that the one with Larry the Cable Guy in it?
Yeah, and Alicia Vitt.
Uh-huh.
And she's in several different scenes. And this movie takes place over the course of, like, a week. And in every scene she's in, she's wearing the exact same clothes.
Oh, no.
So all of her scenes were filmed on one day. And they just thought, like, yeah, nobody will notice. The sun went up, the sun went down. It's like, she's still wearing the same, like, shirt with birds on it.
She will always be, to me, well, either her character from Dune or her character from Cecil B. Demented. Like, oh, rear entry!
Aw, Cherish.
Perverts, I need your hardcore help!
She's a delightful scamp.
Yep, sticking gerbils up her butt. It is her way.
But yeah, Medea Halloween was... Yeah, it was just... It started bad and it only got worse. Because it was just scene after scene that were just... Like they were doing like a... Like one of those like... Just vamp. Do like 5 or 6 different takes. You know, like see what you got. And then they thought, well, these are all gold. So...
Let's use all of them.
The whole thing. So there's like towards the beginning there's a 5-minute long scene of Medea and one of her friends just mocking some fat kid to his face.
Were there many jump scares?
No.
If you're gonna have a movie with an exclamation point in the title, you should at least have like a black cat jump out of a cabinet at somebody.
No, at a point like these college frat boys start trying to piss with them. This is after rapper Tyga shows up to perform a very edited version of Rack City.
The boyfriend of Kylie Jenner.
So these frat boys start messing with them, like dressing as clowns and like hiding in the house that they're in.
Uh-huh.
And also, one of the frat boys is like a computer hacker, so he starts doing stuff like turning the lights on and off, or turning the faucets on. You know, which is something you can hack from your computer, turning the faucets on in an old house. Maybe
he hacked a robot that was just off screen, turning the faucets on and off.
But it was fucking terrible. Plus, out of all like
faucet from Futurama episode,
all of Medea's friends, all of them are either Tyler Perry in makeup, or another woman who's clearly not an old woman, but just wearing old lady makeup so that it's funny when she's like constantly like twerking and shit like that. But out of all of them, there's only one person who is actually an old black woman.
Mm-hmm. Or it's Tyler Perry.
Yes.
Yeah, he's been acting. He's so deep undercover. It's like Serpico. It's just like he takes up the wig and there's like gray curly hair underneath it. He's like, no.
Hey, Mr. Mayor.
You're just doing Charlie doing Serpico.
Yeah, I like that better.
Number 3, Collateral Beauty.
Collateral Damage.
Collateral Damage is a movie I wish I had seen, but instead I saw Collateral Beauty. Are you familiar at all?
Brad was filling me in about this one, which... What the fuck was that?
So, Will Smith has a daughter who dies, and he, like, loses... Excuse me.
Wow.
I burped in grief over Will Smith's dead daughter. He loses his will to live, sort of, and, like, he's not running his company or taking care of himself. He's just, like, sitting in a dark room, staring into the middle distance when he goes home every night. When he goes to work, he's just, like, building these, like, intricate domino setups and then bonking him over again. And the co-owner of the company, Ed Norton, his best friend in sympathy and empathy, decides I'd better trick him into looking mentally incompetent so that I can sell his company out from under him.
You know, and like a best friend would do for you.
Exactly like a best friend would do for him.
Like, you know, if I felt that, like, it's like, I don't know, guys, like, Brad's not putting out enough videos. I'm gonna trick him into thinking he's fucking insane so I can take over the website.
No. If Brad was so stricken with grief that he wasn't turning out episodes, wasn't bathing himself, was just sitting in a room, we brought him food, he would just leave it to molder. And we said, we should probably trick him into looking emotionally unstable to lawyers so we can sell his website to the highest bidder. And he'd thank us for it in the second act. So he's written these letters to Love, Death, and Time to be like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, my daughter's dead. And so he hires...
Does Sacha Baron Cohen reprise his role this time?
God, I wish! No, it's it was an actor I wasn't familiar with. He actually did an okay job.
Was it Michael Pena?
I don't know.
Latino guy?
No, it was Michael. He was like a friend of Ed Norton and Will Smith's, if he was in this movie. He had the kind of multiple myeloma where you're perfectly fine, you just daintily cough blood into a handkerchief every once in a while.
The kind of cancer that you're okay with.
Yeah, he's just dying, but off screen. When he's on screen, he's fine. But no, it was like a young black fella, with
mouth.
Kind of like pretty lady lips, if that makes sense. Where it kind of looks like he's wearing lip liner, but he's not. Anyway, and then Helen Mirren, and then Keira Knightley as Death and Love. And
so she's Love, actually.
Yeah, she is Love, actually. Well done. We didn't make that joke.
Cha cha cha.
This is why you should have come. You should have come and watched Collateral Beauty with us. Just so you could bomb in, make that joke, and then be like, bye!
He drifts off into the woods. Travis Crabtree song playing.
So they hire these actors in a community theater to play these avatars of the concepts that he'd written to, and then they're gonna film him yelling at them, and then edit them out of the footage, and then show the footage to a judge, and the judge would be like, "Oh yeah, he's screaming in the street. Surely he can't run a company." This
seems like an awful lot of work.
It is an awful lot of work, and work that wouldn't even work because, first of all, there's a scene where he's like screaming at Helen Mirren, and like, you're Will Smith, and I'm Helen Mirren, and he's the lady with the video camera. So I don't know in what universe you'd be able to edit my ass out of that footage, but it surely wouldn't have. Surely no universe that I live in. And then there's the footage where like he's yelling.
It'd be nice if there was like a shot where like, and then the two of them get on a tandem bicycle.
Well, no, because like when he's yelling at the little time guy, the time guy's like on a skateboard, and at one point Will Smith picks up the skateboard and just like throws it, and in the footage he just picks up a random skateboard and just throws it. It's like, where did that skateboard come from? Where are you purporting that skateboard came from?
Well, if they're editing him out, maybe they'll edit something back in where it's like oh no, and then he grabs like a raccoon.
He grabs like a handful of walkie-talkies and just throws them. Anyway, so
take that, E.T.
Well, what's really shitty about this movie is, first of all, it's like it's totally cashing in on the whole like dead babies are super sad thing, and then like the twist endings.
Yeah, that old chestnut.
Yeah, there's two twist endings, and both of them make you go, oh fuck you. The first is that it turns out that they actually are the physical embodiments of Love, Death, and Time.
Who are posing as community theater actors. Who happened to get hired by people who needed someone to represent them.
Yes.
Fuck you.
And the second one is there's like a love interest for Will Smith in this movie, and as he's kind of like getting a little bit better by having these conversations with Love, Death, and Time, he's going to this support group called Littlest Swing that's run by this lady, and she's also lost a child, and she's like, my daughter's name is Olivia, she died of like this rare disease. What's your daughter's name? He's like, I don't talk about it. She's like, oh, that's fine, and so like they go out and they have dinner and stuff, and she's talking about how her and her husband got divorced because like 79% of all couples that lose a child end in divorce, and they try to make it work, and she's still in love with him. And when they broke up, he wrote her this note that said like, if my dearest wish is that we could be strangers again. And then at the end of the movie, yeah, you're making a face like you can see where I'm going with this. At the end of the movie, it turns
blood in the water now.
Turns out that Will Smith is her husband, and they've just been like play acting this weird, cruel scenes at each other where they pretend not to know each other, and she's talking about her daughter, and he's like, I don't want to talk about my daughter. And then they get back together, and they're walking in Central Park holding hands, and then they walk under the bridge, and there's Love, Death, and Time, like, yeah, hello, Force Ghosts, and he's like, you guys are okay.
fuck?
Yeah, and like Will Smith's wife is talking about how when she was in the hospital waiting for her daughter to die, there was a lady sitting next to her, and she told her like, "Oh yeah, my daughter's dying," and the lady said, "Okay, well, don't forget to notice the collateral beauty in this situation." And she said, it really touched me. It was a meaningful thing to say to me in that moment. Not a terrifically cruel thing to say to you in that moment, which I feel would be the case, but that at the end of the movie...
Like, remember, to cherish your daughter's untimely death.
Yeah.
And live on the rest of your life without her.
Turned out that was Helen Mirren, too.
Why not?
Because fuck you, collateral beauty. And that's my number 3.
Helen Mirren was there, and Keira Knightley walks in as the candy striper, because it's an act of love as well.
Yes. Because she loves candy.
And then the black guy gets there way too late because poor timing.
He just shows up in like the bizarre time costume that Sacha Baron Cohen's wearing.
Alright, my number 3 is The Brothers Grimsby.
The Brothers Grimsby.
Which was one of the most fucking terrible movies I've seen in a while.
Speaking of being tricked into drinking cum.
Like, Sacha Baron Cohen does a lot of weird fucking movies.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow this one felt beneath him. Like, it's just, it tries to... It feels like it should have come out during that era when, like, Austin Powers was coming out.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's kind of what they were going for.
And what makes this movie especially, like, heartbreaking is the opening, like, 5 or 6 minutes of the movie are fantastic.
Mm.
Because it's...
Like Mark Strong.
Well, it's Mark Strong, but it's all, like, this, like, constant motion, like... first-person view, like you're watching the whole action scene from like this like camera contact lens thing that he's wearing, and so you're watching like all in first-person view this entire opening action scene, and it's really really good, because that part was basically like planned out by the guy that would eventually do Hardcore Henry. Mm-hmm. Like, he kind of planned that out, and then he's like, actually, I could probably make a whole movie out of this, so he bailed, so they're like, well, we're just going to use this still. Mm-hmm. So watching it is like, that's a really cool action scene. And then the rest of the movie is just insanely bad dick jokes.
Because, like, at one point he has to, like, suck the poison out of his brother's dick.
Well, it's, like, in his leg, but it's being recorded, so it looks like he's sucking him off.
Uh-huh.
Oh, no, like, it's in, like, he gets shot in, like, the ball.
Uh-huh.
And, it's, yeah, everything in this movie, like, it feels like, honestly, the whole movie felt like a movie like The Transporter, plus, like, a raunchy sidekick. Like, it felt like there was a legitimately decent action film, but then this terrible, like sophomore humor, like, dick and fart joke movie just got, like, mixed in with it. Like, the fucking, that dish in that episode of Friends.
Oh, the trifle?
Yeah, where it's like mashed potatoes, peas, ladyfingers, pudding, mashed potatoes, gravy.
No. It's a ladyfingers, jam, custard, more ladyfingers, bananas, custard, beef sauteed with peas and onions, ladyfingers, whipped cream.
And that's how this movie felt. Like, it felt like it was trying to be both at the same time. It just kept going for, like, really fucking bizarre moments. Like, there's a point where they're on the run from some guys, and they're out in, like, the fucking, like, the savannah in Africa, and they have nowhere to hide, so they find an elephant and crawl up into its vagina.
I feel like...
And then that elephant gets fucked royally by another elephant who ejaculates gallons of cum all over them. Meanwhile, it's showing them inside this elephant's vagina with just giant elephant dick like ramming them.
I feel like it's written by someone who doesn't understand how a vagina works, even an elephant vagina.
And then it fills up with cum, and eventually they spill out in a tidal wave of elephant cum. It's like a 10-minute sequence.
Mm-hmm.
It's the whole thing. At the end, they stop some fireworks that are laced with poison gas, or no, some like deadly neurotoxin that will spread and kill everyone worldwide at the World Cup finals.
Uh-huh.
They get all of them disarmed except for like 2 of them, and there's no way that they can stop them, and they're gonna go off, and there's nothing they can do to help contain the gas. So they and they're like these big like canister like fireworks.
Uh-huh.
So then what they do to solve the problem is they drop their pants and jam the firework tube in their ass.
Why?
Well, because then the gas will just be inside of them, and it'll be contained. It'll save everyone at the soccer finals.
Do they then die a horrible deaths?
No, it launches them like 30-some feet into the air, and then they follow, and then it cuts to them like in the hospital afterwards.
If
like,
it launched them, then they didn't contain the gas.
Oh, it's still the propulsion from the firework going off, but it inside of them. And then they fall and get a bunch of broken bones, and then it cuts to them in the hospital, like all up in like these weird like casts and everything. And the whole time during the sequence, there's like this constant like hollow whistling noise going on, and eventually it turns out it's because like their gowns kind of flap up, like they're kind of in like these stirrup things, and their gowns kind of flap up, and it's because they now have gigantic gaping buttholes, and there's a fan in the room, so it's blowing past them as it whistles across their giant gaping buttholes.
I mean, this wasn't a horror movie.
Surprisingly, well, body horror, I guess. Yeah, it's fucking awful.
You poor thing.
But Mark Strong was good in it, and it had Scott Adkins for like a scene.
Who's he again?
King Ed Glazer. He looks like Ed if Ed was like super huge and swole.
Oh, okay.
He was like the king or something in one of the Hercules movies we watched, so we've just been calling him King Ed Glazer ever since.
Yeah, fair enough. Number 2. Bad Santa 2.
Is number 1 Bad Santa 1?
No, I've never seen Bad Santa 1.
How was Bad Santa 2?
Bad Santa 2 was Bad Santa 2. It was, the Sarah in the review described it as like Bad Santa, but badly and awkwardly. Because I say that I haven't seen Bad Santa 1, which isn't technically accurate. I've seen parts of it, and the parts that I remember are like, him making friends with a little boy, and him playing like a bank heist and getting like double crossed, and him
I remember
having,
a lot
like,
of him being drunk and the fat kid making him sandwiches all the time.
Yeah, the fat kid grows up to work at a sandwich shop.
Oh, that's fitting.
But he's like deeply autistic, or like a mental handicap or something. He's just the movie doesn't really explain why he's acting how he's acting. He just acts really.
Well, that's kind of how the kid acts in the first one. Is just
but this is
he seems like he's got like a problem, but he's just like maybe he's just an awkward kid. But apparently they just went with it.
He's just. As the movie would say, he's retarded. And then the first one, it's a lot of like them picking on each other, and the second one, it's mostly just him picking on Tony Cox, and Tony Cox being like, "Man, fuck you." Like whoever wrote the second one hates little people, or hates Tony Cox specifically, and like
he seems like he would be a total dick in real life, though.
Well, so maybe this whole movie was just a plan to talk shit about Tony Cox and put him in like the worst positions imaginable, because it's not just that, he's taking a run at some, like, big lady, and the big lady's like, "No, I don't date little people." And then she goes over and she fucks, Billy Bob Thornton, and Tony Cox is like, "But I loved her," and Billy Bob Thornton's like, "Shut up, you little." And, like, Christina Hendricks is the love interest for no reason whatsoever, except that the plot
because
demanded
tits,
it.
man.
And so, like, in the first one, Lauren Graham is interested in him because she's got, like, a Santa fetish. And this one, she's just interested in him because she's like a successful businesswoman that runs, like, a charity and is a genuinely nice person, but used to be an alcoholic in her youth. And he's like, how about you fuck me? And she's like, no, okay. And so then they fuck in an alley. And she's like, we're never doing this again. He's like, whatever. And then the next scene, she's like, okay, let's go have sex in an alley again. And the movie, so that none of the stuff that happened in the movie was for any particular reason, other than to progress the plot in a shambling semblance of the plot from the first one.
I've seen several of those this year.
And it's the kind of comedy movie that's unforgivable in that whoever wrote the jokes doesn't actually understand how comedy works.
Oh, good, because that's a key for comedy.
Yeah, so it's kind of like someone impersonating like a foreign language without actually knowing how that foreign language works, so they're just making noises similar to the noises that are made for that language. Like saying like, oh yeah, I speak French, fa 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 fa.
Ching chong ping pong.
Yeah, that's how the jokes were in this movie. It was just someone making noises like how a joke makes noises, and hoping that would do what they needed to do.
Is that what you wanted? Are you not entertained?
Kid makes sandwiches. He makes sandwiches again. He works at a sandwich shop.
Kid sandwiches.
Yeah.
My number 2 was the most unabashed propaganda film I have ever seen.
I'm very surprised this isn't your number 1. Because this is the one you guys walked out of, right?
Oh, no. Irving and I stayed all the way through on our sitting.
Oh.
It's Hillary's America.
Uh-huh.
Which is, holy shit, fuck, the weirdest experience I've ever had in a fucking movie.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's 100% a fucking propaganda film. Like, Joseph Goebbels would have looked at this and applauded.
Do tell.
Well, because he was the minister of propaganda.
Yes. And also because he was a Nazi.
And yeah. Because he was also a shithead. No, it's... The movie is Dinesh D'Souza trying to explain why he was framed by the liberals and sent to prison for a crime that he did commit.
What crime was that? Was the crime loving America too much?
That and campaign finance fraud.
Loving finances is too much.
Like, there's campaign finance bills for a reason that says, hey, you can't, like, because he's trying to play it off as like, I gave too much money because I cared too much. And how did the Democrats respond? They threw me in prison.
Uh-huh.
It's like, yeah, because that's against the law. Like, the law says that you cannot donate over this amount of money, and he did. Mm-hmm. So he broke the law. It's like, all I was trying to do was get across the street to help someone, and the police said I was jaywalking, those liberal fucks.
I feel like if you've got enough money to donate too much money to a campaign, you've got enough money to hire a lawyer and ask him, how do I do this legally?
You'd think. But he's not known for making great decisions. He was also dating Ann Coulter for a while, so there's that. And she left him.
Oh no.
Like, the
Maybe
whole...
a tornado came through her cornfield and just... Maybe he could just track her down in the wonderful land of Oz that he could...
Yeah, it's... The whole movie goes out of its way to try to, like, there are scenes that it's supposed to be him sneaking into, like, the DNC headquarters and going into, like, a room that says, like, authorized personnel only, and inside are, like, slave chains and Klansman uniforms. There's scenes where he basically goes out of his way to explain how it's like no Republican has ever been racist, but the Democrats are. explaining how the inner cities are like the new plantations. Explaining how Democrats started Planned Parenthood solely for the purposes of abortions and have been lobbying to keep them that way, despite the fact that no federal money goes to abortions.
Mm.
You would have loved this movie.
Sounds like it.
And the whole thing is him basically going out of his way, like, not saying to vote for anybody, but just saying not to vote for Hillary. But it ends on him saying, like, it's like, so remember, on election day, make sure to get out to vote. Because I won't be able to. Because as I am now a convicted felon, I am unable to vote in this country.
Yeah.
But there's even a scene
That's what happens when you commit a felony.
where he explains how Harry S. Truman got together all of his friends for a viewing of Birth of a Nation in the White House as a way to rekindle the KKK in our modern times. And it
I remember because this was after Brad and him walked out.
Yeah, it recreates what I'm sure is the very historically accurate scene. And I mean, it's like watching a fucking episode of Drunk History, except it's funny for the wrong reasons.
Uh-huh.
Let's see if I can find it on here. Where Harry Truman is watching Birth of a Nation as a Klansman races on a horse towards the screen and leaps out of it, lands on the table, and rides across the room. Flies out the door, and Harry Truman goes following after him like Charlie after he found the fucking golden ticket. And runs out on the White House lawn to see like this like spectral like Klansman rearing back on horseback, and he's standing there like fucking George Reeves Superman, like, yes indeed, God bless this country. Spectral Klansman. There's Harry Truman back there. Fucking Johnny Arms akimbo.
Like the horse is wearing a Klansman uniform too.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, it's a ghost! It's a ghost horse!
It's fucking insane. Like it's to political propaganda.
It sounds like
what
Saving
Christmas was to religious propaganda.
Mm-hmm. But at least Saving Christmas had a good heart in it. You know, it wasn't
had a very biased heart.
Yeah, well, of course it was biased. It was about Jesus and keeping Christ in the Christmas and telling the other Christians back off. I want to buy some presents for my kid. It wasn't like all the other religions are terrible, and you know you shouldn't be able to put me in jail for.
Yeah, it's fucking awful.
So much stuff is happening right now. It just makes my stomach hurt.
You should try watching it.
Yeah.
The first half hour is like a really crappy version of Oz. Oh, and by the way, Dinesh D'Souza looks like an even wormier version of M. Night Shyamalan.
Of course he does.
And he's a worse actor, so it's a good thing he's in the whole thing.
Should have gone to jail for bad acting. I dinged him. Now I'm depressed. No, I haven't even seen the movie and I'm depressed.
What's your number one?
50 Shades of Black. I look at my phone like I can't fucking remember. I had my list written out and I was like vacillating. I was like moving stuff around, and here at the top, 50 Shades of Black, number one with the bullet. It was a movie I watched at the beginning of the year, in January, around January 15th. It was interesting as I was going through watching these videos, since I had a baby in October, and so basically watching Sarah get like chubbier and chubbier in the face, like go through like tired and sort of gaunt, and then chubby in the face, and then definitely pregnant, and then tired and gaunt. And 50 Shades of Black was right around when I got pregnant. And so, like, at the end, Sarah's like, I've got a message for December, Sarah. This movie was terrible. It belongs in the bottom 10. And Brad's like, do you think she'll make it this far into the video? And I'm like, probably not, but if she does, this will be a special treat for her. I was like, thanks, Pasteur, I got a special treat for you. You're like a day pregnant. The first thing you ever did with your daughter was take her to see 50 Shades of Black.
Off to a great start.
So when I went to see this movie, I thought, okay, well, this is going to be zany and probably in pretty poor taste, because I've only really seen the first the first scary movie. Maybe the first one and the second one, which were, zany and stupid, but kind of fun, and so I thought, okay, it couldn't possibly be as bad as 50 Shades of Grey, it'll just be, like, dumb.
Oh, but no, this is after Marlon Wayans decided to branch out on his own with a haunted house and a haunted house 2.
I think Marlon Wayans must have, like, been some woman must have done something to him to make his brain this way, because this movie hated women in a way that I haven't seen a movie hate women in a while. Because it's basically...
That'll be funnier in a minute.
Okay. Because, like, it's basically he's playing Christian Grey, and it's got, like, real adorable. The girl who played Shelby in New Girl is, like, the Anastasia Steele character. And it's basically just her getting shit on for an hour and a half. Because, like
actually, I feel I should ask.
She probably actually got shit on at one of the cutscenes, but like they're talking about how terrible she smells, and like there's a scene where she's got like an outie belly button, and he's like, that's disgusting, it smells like shit, and then they cut away and she doesn't have an outie belly button anymore.
What's weird though is to kind of jump in on that is I haven't seen the second Haunted House movie, but the first one. Like 90% of the jokes in that were about how terrible his wife is in that movie.
Yeah, he doesn't like women, I don't think, because there's two female characters of note in this movie. There's Shelby from New Girl, who's basically just shit on and berated for the entire thing, and then there's her roommate, who's a big fat white girl dressed like a super stereotypical 90s black girl and talking in like a super stereotypical black girl accent about how she sucks all the dicks. And neither of the characters are particularly flattering, and Shelby is, I say in the video that she reminds me of Anna Faris in the Scary Movie movies, in that she's a real sweet game comedian, just having horrible, horrible things happen to her and trying to put a nice face on it. There's a Magic Mike scene where he's got like a micro penis. There's a scene where there's like that they're making fun of the scene in 50 Shades of Grey where like her guy friend is trying to like muscle up on her, and Christian Grey goes over trying to stop him, but instead he's like, hey, they're hurting me. There's a scene where he's like in the hardware store, and he's got a bag of zip ties, and he's like looking at her lasciviously. There's a scene where he's giving her a spanking, and he's just breaking chairs off on her ass, and she's like, oh, ho hum. Although at the end of the movie, she does beat the crap out of him.
Which is how 50 Shades of Grey should have ended.
It really should have. Like, if that movie had ended that, I'm going to have to watch 50 Shades Darker when it comes out, which means I need to read 50 Shades Darker so I can live tweet it. But in a strange way, kind of looking forward to, because I had a lot of fun live tweeting the book when I read it. But I feel like I'd watch 50 Shades of Grey 5 more times before I'd ever watch 50 Shades of Black again. Because even as a parody movie, it was disjointed and terrible. Like, you know, like a good parody movie, like your Robin Hood Men in Tights, or your Airplane, where, yeah, there are scenes that don't make a whole lot of sense in the context of the movie, but they're few and far between, and for the most part it forms like a cohesive plot and works as a standalone movie. This is neither of those things.
Fantastic.
This is just like, his character will like change from like cool and suave and coy to like, bitch, you crazy! With like a cut of the camera just because of how he wanted that character to be portrayed for the joke that he was making at the time. It was like watching the dailies for it. If he was like, okay, let's try the character like this, let's try the character like this, let's try the character like this.
Like, I like this take and I like this take. Like, those are different. It's like,
Nope. No
one's gonna give a shit.
Accents came and gone. And it was a January movie, so I wish that I had more specifics to cite, but I remember hating it. And I remember being kind of nauseous when I left, thinking like, did he go through like a bad divorce or something? Because, like, you know how when you watch Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and you can kind of tell that the directors were going through divorces at the time from the way that Willie's portrayed? It was like that times a million. What's your number one?
My number one is a movie that thinks even less of women than that one.
Ooh.
The Christian film Voiceless.
Oh no! Something to say about abortions. I wonder what could be worse than Hillary's America.
Turns out, a movie about a guy who is legitimately the villain of a movie being lauded as the hero.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm not sure if you've heard anything about this one.
I've heard bits and pieces from Brad, but I'm very interested to be filled in.
It basically, okay, it's this guy, he's a war veteran, he returns home, and he and his wife move to, like, Detroit or Pittsburgh or fucking somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna be working, like, she's like a counselor or something like that, and she's gonna be working with this church that's right next door to the building that, like, they're living in.
Mm-hmm.
Like the church, like, put him up in, like, this apartment. And he finds out that directly across the street from the church is a, like a family planning center.
No.
And he, like, it's like, how can you just let them, like, have that building? Like, how can you let them, like, operate here? And they're like, it's a thing. Like, you know what they do over there? Abortions! They're killing babies, man! And it's just this guy getting more and more unhinged about the fact that there's, like, this, like, clinic across the street, which, according to their sign, offers, like, free STD testing, monthly checkups, like, full run of anything that you might need for your reproductive needs,
Mm-hmm.
and also abortions.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just insane. Like, this guy keeps getting more and more unhinged. Like, he keeps trying to go in there and, like scaring people out of, like...
And he's touted as the hero of the movie?
Oh, yeah. Because it's his godly duty to help save them babies.
Is he going to take the babies and raise them as his own?
I don't fucking know. But he's, like, growing more and more frustrated with the church because they won't step in and do anything. He tries going to, like, the city planner's office to try to get, like, their business license revoked.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, what are they doing? Like, well, they're doing abortions. They're like, which are legal. Like, the entire movie seems almost more pro-abortion. Well, not even pro-abortion, like, pro-life.
Uh-huh.
Because it's calm, reasonable people trying to explain to him that it's perfectly legal what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's letter of the law.
Yeah.
And he's just being unreasonable. Like, well, why? Can't you close them down? Like, no. Do you have a grievance to file with them? There's nothing I can do. Like, they're a legitimate business following the law.
Mm-hmm.
Go home. And, like, he ends up, like, one day he's going, like, onto the church grounds to, like, open up, like, the gates and everything. And there's this girl, like, standing there. And she's like, I don't know, I found out I'm pregnant, and I don't know what I should do. And he launches into this huge fucking pro-life, like, tirade.
Mm-hmm.
And scares the shit out of her enough that she runs across the street into the clinic.
Uh-huh.
And then he finds out, like, a week later that she had the abortion. Like, he keeps going in there, like, asking, like I need to know about this girl. She's, like, this tall brunette. Her name was, like, Ashley or something like that. Like, we can't give you someone's medical records. This is insane. How can you not tell me? It's like, because she fucking can't. It's illegal. And then he finds out in the newspaper a couple days later that after the abortion, like, she killed herself.
Uh-huh.
And then goes to her funeral. At which point, like, one of, like, her family members is like, oh, thanks for coming by. Like, how did you know our sister? It's like, oh, I only met her the once, like a few days back. Like she came by the church that I work at, and she was really conflicted about getting an abortion. And I tried talking to her. Like, you're that fucking nut job that basically convinced her to go in there and then guilted her about it to where she committed suicide. And, like, the whole family starts, like, yelling at him at this funeral. It's insane. But it starts getting to the point, like, the movie is filmed like it's like an episode of, like, The fucking Wire or, like Taxi Driver. Like, he's getting more and more unhinged in, like, a fucking Travis Bickle kind of way, to where it legitimately seems like he's gonna blow up the clinic. Because they mention, like he's a former, like he's an Iraqi war veteran, like, you know, proficient in all this shit. Like, he tries, like, going over there, like, to the point, like, harassing people enough to where the cops show up and, like, arrest him, and he starts fighting the cops. And he doesn't understand why no one is wanting to, like, jump to his aid in this cause. At a point, he goes there and starts harassing this one woman and basically convinces her not to get an abortion. So her husband beats the shit out of her. And then she decides to, like, go back the next day to get the abortion or something. And, like, the guy goes across the street to, like, talk her out of it, and the husband shows up, starts waving a gun around and shit, like, threatening to kill him. Like the cops show up and then shoot him dead in the street. And he's, like, looking at the people who run the clinic. He's like, you fucking did this. You. It's like, no, you did
this.
You unhinged psychopath. And it keeps escalating more and more. It's just fucking insane. The way that it keeps, like, the way it depicts him as, like, this, like, soldier of God's army, it, like I said, it more comes across as, like, it's a very, like if you showed that to someone and said this is a pro-choice film because here's how crazy pro-life people are, they would 100% believe you. To the point, like, at the end, like, they end up doing, like, this protest in, like, the middle of the street, like, blocking traffic to keep people from going to the clinic. And the clinic, like, employees are standing across the street. Like, eventually, like, I don't know, like, I guess we're gonna have to close for the day. And they're like, yeah, we did it, yeah. It's like they're gonna, like, reopen tomorrow. Like, at the end of the film, nothing gets resolved other than, like, he gets this, like, minor victory because he gets them to, like, stay closed for a day. But its treatment of women, like, there are entire scenes where he is explaining women's rights to women, but not to them, to their boyfriends. And him and the boyfriend are having a conversation, and the woman gets to weigh in on none of it. Like, even to the point where, like, this girl's like, it's like, well, I can't have this baby. Like, me and him, like, we're not financially responsible enough to handle this. I live with my mom, and she said she will straight up kick me out. He's like, yeah, but you need to have this baby. It's like, well, what am I supposed to do after that? It's like, I don't know, live in a shelter. When eventually some old Irish woman who lives in the building agrees to take in, like, this gangbanger and his pregnant girlfriend. It's fucking insane. Like, if you really want to see a movie that will, like, take your, like treatment of women in movies and tip it over the edge, this is the one.
Oh boy, I was looking for something like that.
I know, right?
I woke up this morning, I was like, you know what I need? To be so angry that I'm kind of gut-sick.
It's like, I need a movie that not only fails the Bechdel test, but destroys it and sets it on fire.
Aborts it.
Like, at a point, like, his uncaring, unfeeling wife is, like, considering leaving him because he won't...
She wants to get an abortion. He won't let her.
No, because years earlier, when they weren't in a responsible enough position, they both agreed and had an abortion. And she doesn't understand why he's going so fucking mental on this. Like, it's consuming his day-to-day life. It's like that episode of Sunny where where Mac and Dennis decide to live in the suburbs.
Uh-huh.
Like, just getting more and more crazy. Like, what'd you do today? It's like, you know, stuff.
Hung a picture. Took a while to find the stud.
Like, that is how this guy is progressively through this movie.
Mm-hmm.
To the end where he's basically just, like, standing in the street yelling in people's faces. Like, even the church, like, threatens to kick him out of the church. It was like, you're being too fucking much.
Uh-huh.
So that's my worst of the year. Voiceless.
Yeah, it sounds like you've seen worse movies this year than I have. Because 50 Shades of Black was bad, but it wasn't that bad.
It weren't that bad.
It weren't that bad.
That weren't no man.
That weren't no man. What's the second half of that?
It's like, what'd you say? Oh, that wasn't a man.
So that was our bottom 10. Hope you enjoyed it.
Hope you didn't see any of those, because,
So, like, if you get a chance, rewatch the Ride Along 2 review, because that one we were goddamn delightful in. But for the most part, these were just bad movies. This was a bad year.
Yeah.
It was a bad year for movies, and it was a bad year for implications. It's all, like, terrible to women, terrible to the differently abled, terrible to poor old Superman.
Or people with mental health issues.
Yeah. Fuck 'em.